Thank you for watching part 1. Now let's move on to part 2. Enjoy! Zariko had passed the trials of the Elders of the Flow, emerging as a changed man. His once unrelenting focus on brute strength had given way to a deeper understanding of balance, purpose, and connection to the greater cosmic forces. The scars of his old life lingered, reminders of the path he had walked, but now they carried a new meaning, symbols of lessons learned. Returning from the sacred lands, Zariko traveled alongside Kayto toward the central Saiyan settlements. These settlements were scattered yet thriving, each governed by its own leader. The Saiyans of this era were a proud and fiercely independent people, bound only loosely by shared lineage and their mutual pursuit of power. The arrival of Zariko and Kayto would not go unnoticed, for the brothers represented opposing ideals that now needed to coexist for their people to survive. As they approached the first settlement, the towering walls bore the markings of countless battles. Saiyans were survivors, warriors forged in conflict. The sight of Zariko, once heralded as the strongest among them, drew both awe and suspicion. Rumors of his transformation under Kayto's guidance had preceded them, and many warriors questioned whether Zariko, the unyielding, supreme warrior, had grown weak. The Warlords' Council. The settlement's leader, a warlord named Vedra, called for an emergency council upon their arrival. The council consisted of other prominent warlords from neighboring settlements, each representing a faction of the scattered Saiyan tribes. They gathered in a grand hall carved from the remains of a fallen starship, its metallic walls echoing with the voices of debate. When Zariko and Kayto entered, the room fell silent. All eyes turned toward Zariko, whose presence still commanded respect despite the rumors. Kayto, his calm demeanor unshaken, stood at his brother's side like a silent guardian. Vedra, a shrewd and imposing figure with a scar running across her face, rose to speak. "Zariko," she began, her voice cutting through the tension. "You return to us not as the warrior we once knew, but as something different. Tell us, what has become of the man who stood as the pinnacle of Saiyan strength?" Zariko stepped forward, his gaze steady. "That man still exists," he said, his voice carrying the weight of his journey. "But he was incomplete. I have seen what lies beyond raw power. I now understand that strength alone is not enough to lead our people." A murmur swept through the council. Some nodded in approval, while others exchanged skeptical glances. One warlord, Karsh, known for his arrogance and disdain for diplomacy, sneered. "You speak of balance and wisdom, Zariko, but where was that wisdom when you crushed your rivals without mercy? Have you truly changed, or are these just words to mask weakness?" Kayto, who had remained silent until now, raised a hand to address the council. "My brother speaks the truth. He has faced the trials of the elders and emerged stronger, not just in body, but in mind and spirit. What he has learned is what we Saiyans must embrace if we are to survive. Division and conquest will destroy us from within. Unity is the only path forward." Karsh laughed, his voice dripping with scorn. "Unity? The Saiyans are warriors, not philosophers. Our strength comes from conflict, from proving our dominance. Unity will make us soft." Zariko turned to Karsh, his expression fierce yet controlled. "You mistake unity for weakness," he said. "I do not seek to erase the strength that comes from challenge, but to channel it. Our power is wasted fighting among ourselves while the universe grows stronger around us. If we cannot unite, we will be conquered, not by each other, but by those who see us as fractured and vulnerable." Zariko's demonstration. The tension in the room reached its peak as Zariko stepped into the center of the hall. "If you doubt my resolve, if you think I have grown weak, then let me show you the strength I have gained, not as the Zariko you once knew, but as the warrior I have become." He extended his hand, and the air in the room began to hum with energy. Unlike before, when his power had erupted like a chaotic storm, this energy was focused, controlled, and precise. Zariko raised his other hand, and a faint, glowing orb of energy formed between his palms. The orb pulsed rhythmically, radiating an almost serene power. "This is what I have learned," Zariko said, his voice calm but commanding. To harness strength not as a weapon of destruction, but as a force of creation. The energy orb expanded slowly, filling the room with a warm, golden light. It enveloped the council members, not as an attack, but as a demonstration of balance. For the first time, the warlords felt Zariko's power as something more than brute force. It was a presence, a connection that resonated with their very beings. Vedra, visibly moved, stepped forward. Zariko, she said, her voice steady. This power, it is unlike anything we have felt before. Perhaps there is wisdom in your words after all. Karsh, still defiant, muttered under his breath. But even he could not deny the profound impact of Zariko's transformation. Call to action. With the council's attention secured, Zariko and Kayto outlined their vision for the Saiyans. They proposed a unification of the tribes, not under a single ruler, but as a collective bound by shared values. Strength would remain a core principle of their culture, but it would be tempered by purpose and guided by balance. Kayto spoke of the importance of discipline, the need to harness power responsibly, and the potential of their people to become more than warriors. Zariko, drawing on his own journey, emphasized the dangers of unchecked ambition and the strength that could be found in unity. By the end of the meeting, the warlords were divided but intrigued. Vedra, the most influential among them, pledged her support, stating, "If what you say is true, then perhaps this is the path we Saiyans have been searching for. But words alone will not unite our people. Action will." Zariko nodded, understanding the challenge ahead. "Then let our actions speak. Together, we will show the Saiyans what we can achieve when we stand as one." This expanded version of Chapter 4 dives deeper into Zariko's return, the skepticism he faces, and the pivotal moments that begin to sway the Saiyan warlords toward unity. Let me know if you'd like to refine or expand further. The Warlord Council's decision to entertain Zariko and Kayto's vision for the Saiyans was only the beginning of a long and arduous process. Despite Zariko's demonstration of his transformation and Kayto's calls for unity, the tribes were deeply divided. Years of rivalry and bloodshed had forged unshakable mistrust between many of the leaders, and even with the support of influential figures like Vedra, the task of unifying the Saiyans would require far more than words. The challenges of division. The Saiyans of this era were spread across multiple planets, each faction isolated and fiercely independent. They shared a common ancestry, but their cultures had diverged over the centuries. Some tribes valued pure combatability above all else, while others had developed advanced technologies or spiritual practices. This diversity was a strength, but it also bred conflict. Each group viewed their way of life as superior, and attempts to unify them had always ended in violence. Kayto, ever the strategist, recognized that the key to unification lay in demonstrating the benefits of unity rather than forcing it upon the tribes. He and Zariko decided to travel to each major Saiyan stronghold, offering their vision to the leaders and their people. But this was no simple diplomatic mission. Each journey would bring its own unique challenges. The journey begins, the mountain clans. The first stop on their journey was the territory of the mountain clans, a group of Saiyans renowned for their physical strength and endurance. The mountain clans respected Zariko for his past feats of raw power, but they were also skeptical of his new philosophy. To them, balance sounded like compromise, and compromise was a weakness. When Zariko and Kayto arrived, they were greeted with cold indifference. The clan leader, a grizzled warrior named the Rose, stepped forward, his massive frame towering over most of his warriors. "Zariko," the Rose rumbled, his voice like the echo of a landslide, "I've heard of your so-called transformation. Tell me, why should the mountain clans follow someone who abandoned the very strength that defines us?" Zariko stood his ground, his voice steady. "I have not abandoned strength, the Rose. I have learned to wield it with purpose. Strength without purpose is destruction. Strength with purpose builds legacies." The Rose narrowed his eyes. "Words are hollow without action. If you wish to convince us, show me this new strength of yours." The trial of the summit. The Rose proposed a trial to test Zariko's resolve and philosophy. At the peak of the highest mountain in their territory, there was a stone altar known as the Summit of Titans. The trial required a warrior to ascend the treacherous slopes, carrying a massive stone inscribed with the names of their ancestors. It was a test of endurance and strength, but there was a catch. Zariko was forbidden from using his raw power to force his way through obstacles. Instead, he had to rely on the balance he claimed to have mastered. The trial began at dawn, with the mountain clan gathered to watch. Zariko hoisted the stone onto his back, its weight immense but manageable. The first stretch of the climb was straightforward, but as he ascended, the terrain became increasingly perilous. The wind howled through narrow passes, and jagged rocks threatened to cut his footing. Kayto observed from below, silently supporting his brother. He knew this trial wasn't just about physical strength. It was a battle of mind and spirit. Zariko had to prove that his transformation was more than words. As the climb grew steeper, Zariko faced his first major challenge, a crumbling ledge that required careful navigation. In his past, he would have smashed through the rocks with brute force, but now he paused, steadying his breath. He assessed the terrain using precision and strategy to find a path forward. The crowd murmured in surprise, seeing Zariko's restraint. Higher up, Zariko encountered the Trial of Winds, a section where fierce gusts threatened to knock him from the mountain. He planted his feet firmly, channeling his energy not into resisting the wind but into harmonizing with it. By aligning his movements with the natural flow, he passed through unscathed. Finally, as he approached the summit, Zariko faced the trial of endurance. The final stretch was a near-vertical ascent, with the stone growing heavier with each step. His muscles burned, and sweat poured down his face, but he focused on his breath and the connection he now felt with the universe. Drawing on the balance he had learned, Zariko reached the summit and placed the stone on the altar. The mountain clans erupted in cheers, their skepticism shattered. The Rose approached Zariko, his expression one of respect. "You have shown us that strength can be more than brute force," he said. "The mountain clans will stand with you, uniting the Valley of Shadows." Buoyed by their success with the mountain clans, Zariko and Kayto journeyed next to the Valley of Shadows, home to a secretive tribe of Saiyans known for their mastery of stealth and cunning. Unlike the mountain clans, these Saiyans valued strategy over raw power, and they viewed Zariko as a relic of a bygone age. The valley's leader, Lasara, was a shrewd and calculating figure. She greeted Zariko and Kayto with polite but guarded words. "We have heard of your exploits, Zariko," she said, "but brute strength holds little sway here. Convince us that your vision includes more than fists and energy blasts." Kayto took the lead, explaining how the unity of their diverse strengths would elevate all Saiyans. "Your mastery of stealth and strategy complements the physical prowess of the mountain clans," he said. "Together, we can create a Saiyan culture that values all forms of strength." Lasara listened intently but remained skeptical. "Actions speak louder than words. We shall see if your vision holds merit." To prove their point, Zariko and Kayto joined the tribe in a simulated battle against an elite group of their warriors. Zariko's role was not to dominate but to work in harmony with the tribe's tactics. He adapted quickly, using their strategies to complement his power. The battle was a resounding success, and Lasara finally agreed to join their cause. The vision spreads. Over the course of months, Zariko and Kayto traveled to every major Saiyan settlement. Each tribe presented unique challenges, from technological innovators who demanded proof of practical benefits to spiritual sects who questioned the balance of their approach. Through it all, the brothers persevered, adapting their message to resonate with each group. With each victory, their coalition grew stronger. The Saiyans began to see themselves not as fragmented tribes, but as parts of a greater whole. The seeds of unity had been planted, and though the road ahead would still be fraught with challenges, the Saiyans had taken their first steps toward becoming the race that would one day be known across the universe. This expanded version of Chapter 5 provides a deeper exploration of Zariko and Kayto's efforts to unite the Saiyans, highlighting the diversity of the tribes and the challenges they faced. Let me know if you'd like to continue with Chapter 6 or adjust any details. With the Saiyans beginning to rally under their vision, Zariko and Kayto faced their most critical challenge yet: solidifying their influence across all the tribes and proving that unity could be achieved without sacrificing the strength and individuality that defined their people. While many tribes had pledged their support, a core group of powerful warlords still resisted, led by Rakdos, a brutal and unrelenting figure who represented the old ways of domination and survival of the fittest. The warlords' ultimatum. Rakdos, a towering Saiyan with a body scarred by countless battles, gathered the remaining dissenting warlords to a secret council. These warlords were among the strongest in the Saiyan race. Their influence spread across vast territories. United in their opposition to Zariko and Kayto's philosophy, they viewed the brothers' ideals as a betrayal of their warrior heritage. "We have let Zariko and Kayto speak for long enough," Rakdos growled, slamming his fist on the stone table in the council chamber. "Unity? Balance? These are the words of the weak. The Saiyans are conquerors, forged in battle. If we surrender to their vision, we will lose what makes us strong." The other warlords nodded in agreement. Among them were Koresh, a tactical genius who commanded legions of warriors, and Saian, a master of energy manipulation whose destructive power rivaled Zariko's. Together, they represented the last major opposition to the unification efforts. Word of this secret council reached Kayto through the network of spies cultivated during their travels. Knowing that direct intervention could fracture the fragile progress they had made, Zariko and Kayto chose a bold approach. They would confront the dissenting warlords directly and challenge them on their own terms. The gathering at Titan's Hollow. The meeting took place in Titan's Hollow, a vast, arena-like valley where disputes among Saiyans were traditionally settled. The hollow was surrounded by jagged cliffs, with ancient carvings etched into the rock, a testament to centuries of Saiyan battles fought there. It was the perfect stage for what would become the defining moment in Zariko and Kayto's mission. The warlords gathered at the center of the hollow, their warriors forming a circle around them. Zariko and Kayto arrived unarmed, their calm demeanor a stark contrast to the tension in the air. Rakdos stepped forward, his aura brimming with raw energy. "You dare to come here, unarmed, to lecture us on unity?" Rakdos sneered. "This is not a debate, Zariko. This is a challenge. If you want to prove your vision is worth following, you will fight for it." Zariko, unflinching, met Rakdos' gaze. "I expected nothing less. But this will not be a fight to the death. It will be a test, not just of strength, but of the leadership I seek to offer." Rakdos raised an eyebrow. "A test? What do you propose?" "A battle," Zariko said, his voice steady. "Not of individuals, but of alliances. You and your warlords will face me, Kayto, and the warriors of the tribes who have joined us. If we prevail, you will lay down your opposition and work with us to unite the Saiyans. If we fail, we will step aside, and you may lead as you see fit." The warlords exchanged glances, their pride and confidence outweighing their doubts. Rakdos grinned. "Very well, Zariko. Let Titan's Hollow bear witness to the strength of your unity." The Battle of Titan's Hollow. As the two sides prepared for battle, the air crackled with tension. Zariko and Kayto were joined by a select group of warriors from the tribes they had united, including Vedra of the Mountain Clans and Lasara of the Valley of Shadows. Their forces were smaller and less experienced than the seasoned warriors of Rakdos and his allies, but they carried the hope of a new Saiyan legacy. The battle began with an earth-shaking clash. Rakdos, Koresh, and Saian led their forces with ruthless precision, their combined strength threatening to overwhelm Zariko's coalition. Rakdos himself was a force of nature, his attacks tearing through the battlefield with devastating ferocity. Koresh's tactics kept Zariko's warriors on the defensive, while Saian's energy blasts rained destruction from above. Zariko and Kayto fought side by side, their contrasting styles perfectly complementing one another. Zariko's raw power, now tempered by precision and control, became a shield for their allies, while Kayto's mastery of balance and cosmic energy disrupted the enemy's coordination. Together, they demonstrated the strength of unity. Turning point. Despite their efforts, Zariko's forces began to falter under the relentless assault. Rakdos seized the moment, charging directly at Zariko with a battle cry that shook the hollow. The two warriors collided in a titanic clash, their blows sending shockwaves through the valley. "Is this your unity, Zariko?" Rakdos roared, his fists blazing with energy. "You fight well, but your vision is weak. You cannot defeat us." Zariko gritted his teeth, absorbing the force of Rakdos' strikes. "Strength is more than power, Rakdos," he said, his voice steady despite the strain. "It's the ability to inspire others to stand with you." As Rakdos prepared to deliver a finishing blow, Zariko unleashed a surge of energy, not to attack, but to rally his allies. His aura flared, radiating across the battlefield like a beacon. Inspired by his resolve, the warriors of Zariko's coalition redoubled their efforts, pushing back against Rakdos' forces. Kayto, sensing the shift, channeled his energy into a massive defensive barrier, protecting their allies from Saren's relentless blasts. Vedra led a charge against Koresh's forces, her raw strength breaking their lines. Lasara's warriors struck from the shadows, exploiting every weakness in the enemy's formation. Slowly but surely, the tide of the battle turned. The outcome, with their forces in disarray, Rakdos and the other warlords found themselves surrounded. Zariko stood before them, his energy crackling but controlled. "This is what unity looks like," he said. "Not the domination of one, but the strength of many. We fight not for ourselves, but for the future of our people." Rakdos, battered and humbled, lowered his fists. For the first time, he saw the truth in Zariko's words. The unity he had mocked had proven its strength, and the pride he once held in isolation now felt hollow. "You've won, Zariko," Rakdos said, his voice heavy with resignation. "We will follow your vision." The other warlords, seeing their leaders surrender, followed suit. One by one, they pledged their loyalty to Zariko and Kayto, marking the beginning of a new era for the Saiyans. With the victory at Titan's Hollow, Zariko and Kayto had achieved what many believed was impossible, uniting the fragmented Saiyan tribes under a shared vision. The warlords, once locked in endless rivalries, now pledged their allegiance to the brothers. The path to unity had begun, but their journey was far from over. The task of solidifying this fragile alliance and creating a lasting legacy was now their greatest challenge. The First Council of Saiyans. The first major step in this new era was the establishment of a formal council to govern the Saiyans. Zariko and Kayto called for representatives from each tribe to gather in the heart of the newly established central settlement, Orikos, a city built at the crossroads of the Saiyan territories. Orikos was a symbol of their unity, its architecture blending the distinct styles of each tribe. The council convened in a grand hall at the city's center. The hall was adorned with murals depicting Zariko's trials, Kayto's guidance, and the pivotal battle at Titan's Hollow. Representatives from all tribes, warriors, strategists, spiritual leaders, and innovators took their seats around a circular table, a symbol of equality and collaboration. Zariko addressed the assembly, his voice carrying the weight of their shared struggles. "We stand here today not as individuals, but as one people. For too long, we have allowed division to weaken us. Today, we lay the foundation for a united Saiyan future. A future built on strength, wisdom, and purpose." Kayto followed, his tone calm yet resolute. "This council is not about power for the few, but about ensuring that every voice is heard. Our strength lies in our diversity, in the unique talents and perspectives each tribe brings. Together, we will shape a legacy that echoes across the stars." The council's first session was not without tension. Old rivalries resurfaced as tribal leaders debated their roles in this new order. Rakdos, still adjusting to his newfound role as an ally, voiced concerns about losing the warrior spirit that had defined the Saiyans for generations. Lasara, representing the Valley of Shadows, argued for the importance of strategy and cunning over brute strength. Vedra called for a balance between tradition and progress. Despite the heated debates, Zariko and Kayto guided the council with patience and authority. By the end of the session, they had laid the groundwork for a governing body that represented all Saiyans. A council bound by shared values but open to evolution. The challenge of integration. Unifying the council was only the beginning. The The true challenge lay in integrating the tribe's diverse cultures and traditions into a cohesive identity. Each tribe brought unique strengths and philosophies, but these differences also bred tension. The mountain clans, known for their physical might, struggled to adapt to the more collaborative nature of the new order. They viewed the emphasis on diplomacy as a potential threat to their warrior ethos. Meanwhile, the technologically advanced Stellar Forge tribe sought to prioritize innovation and exploration, sometimes at the expense of the traditions cherished by other tribes. Kayto worked tirelessly to mediate these conflicts, hosting forums where tribes could share their perspectives and find common ground. He introduced the concept of the three pillars, a philosophy that balanced the key elements of Saiyan identity: strength, the foundation of their warrior heritage, representing physical power and resilience; wisdom, the guidance of knowledge, strategy, and spiritual insight; unity, the bond that connected all Saiyans, ensuring that no tribe stood alone. The three pillars are not separate, Kayto explained during one gathering. They are interdependent. Without strength, we falter. Without wisdom, we lose direction. Without unity, we fall apart. Together, they form the essence of who we are. Zariko's mission of resilience. While Kayto focused on guiding the council and fostering unity, Zariko took a more direct approach to fortify the Saiyan strength. He traveled to remote settlements, training warriors and inspiring them with his transformation. Zariko's presence was a powerful reminder that strength and balance were not mutually exclusive. During one such journey, Zariko encountered a group of young warriors from the Ashen Vanguard, a tribe known for their volatile energy manipulation. The Ashen Vanguard had resisted joining the alliance, fearing that unity would dilute their individuality. Zariko challenged their leader, Tyren, to a duel, not to dominate, but to demonstrate the power of their shared vision. The duel was fierce, Tyren's energy attacks lighting up the battlefield. But Zariko, with his newfound control, countered each strike with precision. As the battle reached its climax, Zariko stopped short of delivering a final blow. "Your power is incredible, Tyren," Zariko said, lowering his fists. "But imagine what we could achieve if we fought together, not against one another." Tyren, impressed by Zariko's strength and humility, agreed to join the alliance. The Ashen Vanguard became one of the strongest supporters of the new Saiyan order, their mastery of energy manipulation integrated into the Saiyan military strategy. A new threat. Just as the Saiyans began to solidify their unity, a new threat emerged. Word reached the council of an approaching force from beyond the Saiyan territories, a coalition of alien factions seeking to exploit the Saiyans' recent divisions. These invaders, known as the Karnath Collective, were technologically advanced and ruthless, their goal to subjugate the Saiyans and strip their worlds of resources. The news struck fear into the council, testing the fragile unity Zariko and Kayto had worked so hard to build. Some tribes argued for retreat, while others called for immediate war. The council was on the brink of fracturing once again. It was Zariko who restored order, his voice cutting through the chaos. "This is our moment to prove that unity is our greatest strength. We will not retreat, nor will we act recklessly. Together, we will face this threat and show the universe what it means to be Saiyans." Kayto added, "The Karnath Collective sees us as weak because of our past divisions. Let us show them that we are no longer divided, that we are one." The council voted unanimously to prepare for war, marking the first time the United Saiyans would act as a single force. Forging the Saiyan Vanguard. Zariko and Kayto worked tirelessly to prepare their people for the coming conflict. Under Zariko's leadership, the tribes combined their strengths to form the Saiyan Vanguard, an elite force that represented the unity of their race. Warriors trained side by side, sharing techniques and strategies that blended their diverse traditions. Kayto, meanwhile, focused on diplomacy, rallying neighboring systems to support their cause. His calm wisdom won over allies who had once viewed the Saiyans with suspicion, and his efforts ensured that the Saiyans would not stand alone in the coming battle. The dawn of a new era. As the Saiyans stood united on the eve of battle, Zariko and Kayto addressed their people. Zariko's voice rang out, filled with determination. "Today we stand not as tribes, but as one people. We fight not just for survival, but for the future of our race. Let the Karnath Collective see that we are no longer fractured, we are Saiyans, and we are unstoppable. Kayto followed, his tone steady and inspiring. This is our legacy. No matter the outcome, we have proven that strength lies not in domination, but in unity. Together, we will shape the stars. The Saiyan vanguard marched forward, their unified strength a testament to the vision Zariko and Kayto had fought to build. The battle ahead would test everything they had achieved, but the Saiyans were ready to face whatever came their way.